The AAC Report is brought to you by Blahut of Realty One Group. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, call Blahut anytime at 407-748-0484. Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. We thank you for listening, and we certainly hope you are staying safe, practicing your self-distancing, not hoarding toilet paper, but hopefully getting through these times. And we're here to help with the distraction as we have some AAC stuff to talk about, actually, as there are a number of players entering the transfer portal for Wichita State men's basketball. We will talk to Taylor Eldridge of the Wichita Eagle about that when we continue in just a moment. Are you tired of the endless money pit of paying rent? Do you have a home you need to sell for top dollar? Talk to the Hometown Advantage award-winning real estate professional and fellow UCF Knight, Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Blake has proven to produce results and a smooth process for his clients all across Central Florida. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, talk to Blake Blahut. Visit him at his website, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com, or contact him anytime at 407-748-0484. Again, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com and 407-748-0484. Get the hometown advantage by working with Blake.
Night Nation, this is Adam, one half of the dynamic duo that is the Sons of UCF, which is found only on the Knightline Sports Network. Join UCF Mike and I each week as we bring you some of the latest from in and around UCF sports, including such great segments as the Josh Heupel Translator, Top 8 Lists, and Cow of the Week. We'll also bring you some of the most in-depth and unique interviews with some of your favorite former Knights. You don't want to miss a moment, so make sure you subscribe to the Knightline Sports Network wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll take care of the rest. Go Knights. Charge on.
And as we continue on this week's AAC Report, it is our pleasure now to welcome Taylor Eldridge. He is of the Wichita Eagle, as lots of transfer portal news to discuss with the Wichita State Shockers. Taylor, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And Taylor, before we get down to that business, of course, we hope that you and yours are soldiering through and getting through these tough times. It's been a strange time in not just the world of sports, but our world as a whole.
Yeah, it's been a bizarre couple of weeks. You know, usually March Madness would be going on. We'd be talking, you know, who's advancing, matchups coming up this weekend, and yeah, I mean, like you said, the sports world has just come to a complete halt, and it's necessary, and I hope you guys are staying safe down there as well.
We appreciate that. We are definitely doing our best, and Wichita State was certainly a team on the bubble that had a good chance of getting into the NCAA tournament. But now, what is going on since the season so abruptly ended? If I'm counting correctly, and that can be a little sketchy when I count, but is it 7 players now in the transfer portal for Wichita State men's basketball?
Yeah, 7 players, 6 on scholarship. I mean, ever since the end of the season, abrupt ending, and I mean, a lot of fans are kind of wondering what could have been now. You know, if WSU gets to the AAC tournament, makes a nice run, gets to the NCAA tournament, you know, who knows, wins a game or two. Do these transfers happen? You know, we'll never know, but it's an interesting what-if game. And you kind of saw it last year where, you know, there were kind of some rumblings of some discontent halfway through. If you guys recall, you know, WSU was off to a really, really rough start last year, then caught fire and made it all the way to the NIT Final Four at Madison Square Garden last year, and was really playing some of its best basketball in February and March, and kind of turned its season around, and I think maybe convinced some of these guys to come back. And then, you know, this season they just, you know, the record looked good. You know, 23 wins. That was very, very solid. You know, top 4 in the competitive American this season. And, you know, on the outside, you know, I think it is a little bit of a surprise to see 6 guys go in, you know, 3 of them basically starters or playing 24 minutes or above. You just don't see that very often from teams that win that much. You know, 23 wins. You're playing a lot for a team that's winning, you know, freshmen, sophomores, So yeah, I mean, it's pretty eyebrow raising, and yeah, a lot of fans are kind of coming to grips with it, and now WSU is kind of turning its attention to, all of a sudden they have six scholarships to fill that they weren't planning on filling. So yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on with Wichita State.
Yeah, and several players, big contributors to this: Morris Udize, Eric Stevenson, Jamarius Burton, Grant Sherfield, Noah Fernandez, Tony Gordon, Tay Buse, all leaving, and Jamie Ichinike is graduating. So there's a lot to replace there. So in your opinion, are these all just kind of weird, odd, different situations, or is there something underlying there with the basketball program?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's when you probably look at it, it's there's probably blame on both sides to go around. The coaching staff, then also the players. And I think, I talked to Coach Marshall after the 5th transfer, right before the 6th one. And he took ownership of a lot of the problems. They had a lot of, if you paid attention to Wichita State basketball, and you read my stories, they had a lot of kind of eyebrow-raising quotes throughout the season. I kind of put together a whole list of them and compiled them on Kansas.com. And, it wasn't a secret. Coach Marshall made it pretty clear, pretty evident throughout the season that WSU, they were a super young team. 10 of 13 players were freshmen or sophomore. They didn't really have, that senior-laden team. They didn't really have, like, a go-to established leader to kind of, self-patrol and, to not let this situation get as bad as it did. And I think what happened was, a lot of kids just, without that senior leadership, things kind of, crumbled. And I think they played for each other. I think at the end of the season, I think they were still giving, maximum effort, 100%. But I think they were kind of rallying for each other, and I think there's kind of a false narrative out there that, these guys didn't like each other, or, they were, jealous of each other's roles, stuff like that. I don't think that really was the problem. I think that, at the end of the day, the coaching staff just, they failed to connect, failed to get the buy-in from these guys, and as a result, now you're seeing 6 guys, like I said, 3 of them playing major minutes, transfer out of the program to go find better situations that they feel comfortable in. And, I think at some point though, it is a little bit on the players, for, like I said, it's just the lack of leadership, I think, is they didn't have, a Fred VanVleet kind of, leader, Evan Wessel, Ron Baker, guys like that who could have maybe, self-policed this a little bit better from the inside, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And but at the end of the day, this is, those are Greg Marshall recruits. Those are guys that he handpicked to come into his program. And at the end of the day, things didn't work out, and he did take ownership of that. That at the end of the day, it does fall on my footsteps. And he told me in the interview, he's like, I've encountered stuff that I've never dealt with in 35 years of coaching, a lot of new things that he kind of came across. And his quote, kind of the theme of that interview was, I have to learn from this, I have to get better, I've got to adapt from this. So I think he kind of opened his eyes to the changing experiences of division kids, higher rated recruits that now finds itself now that it's in the American Conference compared to the Missouri Valley Conference. So yeah, it's just a lot of change going on at Wichita State, and I think Marshall is learning and adapting from it. Well,
that's good that he is at least reflective and not in denial. So you mentioned last season they got hot at the end of the year. Would an NCAA tournament appearance have made a difference in the outcome of these guys staying with the program?
It's tough to say. I think, I remember last year when they were 8-11 and things were going really, really rough. I was hearing rumblings that, a couple of these guys are upset. They're probably going to leave at the end of the year. And then, they go from 8-11 to, I think they win 14 of their last 18 or 19 games. And just really go on that big run and turn around their season. And, they end the season on a positive note. And I think it did change the attitudes of a lot of those guys that, hey, let's see what we can do next year. We got a lot of these guys coming back. those sophomores were going to go into bigger roles, and then they were bringing in a lot of talented freshmen. So I think at the end of the day, I think Marshall was kind of a victim of his own recruiting success because, he hit on 3 sophomore guards, Jamarius Burton, Eric Stevenson, Dexter Dennis, and then he signed 3 more, borderline 4-star guys, really highly rated recruits. So you have 6 guys, basically 5 playing 2 spots. And I think at the end of the day, trying to satisfy all those guys, in the end, left none of them satisfied. And you saw, 4 of them ended up transferring. All three of the point guards from last season are now off the roster, and then obviously Eric Stevenson as the shooting guard. So I think it could have made a difference. Who knows if they would have got to the NCAA tournament. The defense, it was top 10 in the country all season. That's going to give you a chance in every game. So, if they catch fire, shoot well for a whole weekend, maybe they get past and make a surprise Sweet 16 run. But it would have been really interesting. I think they were right there on that bubble. They probably would have been like an 11-10 seed at best. So, yeah, it's a lot of what-if games if you want to play with WSU. But, at the end of the day, this is the new reality. 6 guys gone. That promising core, if they would have been able to keep this core together, WSU could have been, for sure a top 25 team next year, and then the year after that, maybe a top 10 team. So all those what ifs are now just what ifs. So they're having to deal with the new reality now.
Yeah, if not, at least very much a favorites for the conference going into next season as well. So the transfer portal is interesting. It is having a big impact on college athletics. It certainly has made a difference in football. And I think now with basketball, it's even more profound because, you lose 7 players off a football team. That's one thing. 7 off a basketball team is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, that's half the roster right there. What was scheduled to come back, 6 of the 12. And Marshall, kind of going back to what I just said, was a victim of the recruiting success, having too many talented guys. He said that he told me that the 9, 10, 11, 12 guys were the most talented ones that he's ever had, at Wichita State, and that became a problem. So he told me, he's considering taking, 10, and if guys want a redshirt, then bring in 11 and 12. But he said more than likely they're going to keep a scholarship or 2 open from going forward just because it's just too many mouths to feed. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this affects Wichita State's recruiting going forward. And, obviously 6 guys leaving a program is not good news. It's going to be – I'm sure it's going to be used against them in recruiting. But, on the flip side, they can turn around and say, hey, we have, no point guards on the roster. We have 1 shooting guard. You can come in and play big minutes right away. So I think that's always going to appeal to recruits, and I think there is a world where if they land their graduate transfer, I think they're going to land at point guard tomorrow, and then bring in a good grad transfer at center. There is a scenario where WSU is still competitive, still a borderline NCAA tournament team next year.
So how would you rate this season? Was it more successful, less successful, or right about where you thought they would be in this 2019-2020 season?
Before the season, I thought this was right where they were going to be. That's right where I projected them. I said in my preseason preview of the WSU that, low 20s wins, or low mid-20s wins, top 4 finish in the American, borderline NCAA tournament team. If they make it, that's a good step in the right direction. If they miss it, it's not the end of the world, but that's exactly where they ended up. A little disappointing, though, if you consider they started 15-1. They got all the way up to number 16 in the country. They were looking like they were a year ahead of schedule, and then that's kind of when they hit adversity. They lost 5 of 7 halfway through the season, and that's kind of when all these off-the-court issues start popping up. And when you go through adversity with a lot of young kids, that stuff like that is going to happen if you don't have, a lot of really, really good senior leaders. And, Jaime Echenique, give him all the credit in the world. I don't mean to disparage him, but, he's only one guy. From everything I was told, he was, the glue trying to keep those guys together. And he was a great senior leader, but, when you only have one compared to, 10 underclassmen, that's you're just outnumbered. So, But yeah, I mean, that's when they kind of turned it around at the end of the year. You know, they were playing better. You know, they won 6 of 8 going into the American tournament. So it would have been interesting to see what they would have done. But, you know, I think before the season, this would have been, you know, right about where you expected. But if you ask me, you know, early January when they were 15-1 and top 20 in the country, would have been really, really disappointing to tell me that, you know, this team might not even make the NCAA tournament when you're, you know, 16th in the country.
Well, Taylor, before we let you run, please let folks know where they can follow your work and follow you on social media.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Taylor Eldridge, and then, I write for the Wichita Eagle, and that website is Kansas.com. And, I try to do some conference look-around stuff, so I might have some UCF content up there this off-season and going into the year.
All right, that sounds great. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back to wrap up the show in just a moment.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Fegley reminding you to tune in every Sunday morning at our new time, 10 to 11 a.m. on ESPN 580 Orlando for Knightline the morning after. Brought to you by Chad Barlaw. We'll be taking your calls and your texts reacting to the previous week's UCF sports action, and you never know who will show up. Once again, that's Knightline the morning after, every Sunday morning, 10 to 11 a.m. on ESPN 580 Orlando or TuneIn Radio. Go Knights and charge on.
Raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney is our commitment to you at Chad Barr Law. I'm Chad Barr, and as a UCF alum, I am proud to present Knightline, the morning after show, Central Florida's only call-in show dedicated to our UCF Knights every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And remember, if you or a loved one are injured in an auto accident, call us at 407-599-9036 to schedule your free consultation or visit us at chadbarlaw.com. Our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices Altamont Springs. Go Knights. Charge on.
All right, that'll about wrap it up for this edition of the AAC Report. As always, we will continue to bring you programming as often as we possibly can to give you that breakaway and escape, get a little sports information in your life wherever we can. And as always, we ask you to share our programming with your friends. Make sure you like them, retweet them, all that good stuff for all of our programming here at the Knightline Sports Network with our flagship Knightline podcast, the Sons of UCF. Please, by all means, you got time to kill, you can listen to past episodes and do all that good stuff as well. And that concludes this AAC Report only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks so much for listening.